GeoGebra is a free mathematics visualization software. We want to introduce you to it because it will be useful for several of the camp's activities. You can do many things with GeoGebra, but we are only going to cover its geometric aspects. You can use GeoGebra online or download the desktop version. Go to www.geogebra.org/download. Choose GeoGebra Classic 6, whether you want to download it or use the online version. A calculator keyboard might appear at the bottom. You can close that. Scroll up or down to zoom in and out. Click on this icon to modify the look. You can hide the axis and the grid. The grid can be useful sometimes, so keep in mind you can make it show if needed. These icons on the top left constitute the toolbar. Click on an icon to display a list of related tools. Let's start with the triangle icon. It will be the one we'll use the most. The Polygon tool allows you to draw any polygon. Select the tool. Notice that a brief explanation of how to use the tool appears at the bottom of the window. Click on the drawing area where you want the vertices of your polygon to go, one by one and in consecutive order. When you're done, make sure to click back on the vertex where you started to close the shape. Now be aware that the Polygon tool is still selected, so if you click on the drawing area again, you will start drawing another polygon. If you accidentally do that, it happens to me all the time, just press the Escape key to cancel. To avoid this, every time you are done using a tool, remember to click the pointer icon and select the Move tool. Now if you click on the drawing area, nothing will happen. You can click and drag to move around. You can also move the points of your already created polygon if you want to reshape it. Notice that a bunch of things appeared on the list on the left. These are all the elements on the drawing area, the vertices, edges, and shapes. In fact, every one of these elements has a name. You're probably not going to need to use those names, nor do you really need to see those big blue dots on every vertex. When you have many shapes, it can become annoying to have all those points and letters floating around. You can hide and show different elements by clicking on the colored circle to the side of the name of the element on the list. Now we do want to keep showing the edges on the screen, but we would like to hide their names. Right-click on any of the names to display more options. Uncheck Show Label to hide the labels. Using the Shift key, you can select several items at the same time and right-click to make changes to all of those at once. Let's continue looking at the tools. Again, under the triangle icon, let's now try the regular polygon tool. As you know, a regular polygon has all sides the same length and all angles equal. So we don't need to click all the vertices now. This time, we just need to create one of the sides, and GeoGebra will automatically create all the other sides with the same size as the one you drew. Click on 2 points on the drawing area to create a segment, which will be the first side of the polygon. You will be asked how many vertices you want your polygon to have. So if you type 3, you'll get an equilateral triangle. 4 will give a square, and so on. You can also build your polygon from existing vertices. This is helpful if you want to draw polygons that share a side. If you click on the same vertices but in different order, the shape will appear towards the opposite side. Notice that the triangle icon now actually shows a pentagon. This is because the icons on the bar always show the last tool from the menu used. Now you can combine these tools to make composite shapes. You can outline your composite shape if you prefer not seeing the pieces. At this point, there are too many items on the list and it's getting hard to find anything. By default, objects are listed in order of creation and their name indicates the type of object. So you can locate the last three regular polygons or squares we created by going from bottom to top. You can change how you want the list organized. Click on the menu icon, select the first icon to decide how you want to sort things. Personally, it helps me to do it by object type. So now I have my hexagons, my points, my polygons, segments. You can also use the rigid polygon tool to create groups of shapes, but this is more convenient with non-regular polygons. This tool lets you create a copy of an existing polygon and rotate it around. This is good to create arrangements of equal polygons. Once you have selected the tool, all you have to do is click on the polygon you want to copy. You might notice that the new shape has two blue points, one a lighter shade than the other. Click on the dark one to move the polygon, and use the light one to rotate it around. The symmetry and rotation tools might also come in handy. Those are under the third icon from the right. Let's try the Reflect Above Line tool. Select the tool. You need to click first on the object you want to reflect and then on the reflection axis, like this. To use the Rotate Around Point tool, you'll need to select the point around which you want to rotate and give the angle. The point needs to be already existing. You cannot just click on the space and create it on the go. I want to use this vertex as my rotation point. So I am going to use the Point tool first to create a point on that vertex. You could also look for it on the list and activate it. Select the tool, then the polygon, then the point, and then enter the angle. If you choose a random angle, the new shape might end up overlapping with the original. If you want the rotated shape to end up nicely right by the original, you will need to work out the math to figure out the angle you want. But we're sure you'll be able to do that with what you learned on the camp. This is the undo button, by the way. Under the point menu, you can also find the midpoint or center tool, which locates the middle point or center of anything. For example, if you click on a segment, it will give the point which lies in the middle of the segment. Same if you select the two endpoints instead of the segment. But you can also use that tool to find the center of a polygon. Even an irregular one. Feel free to explore the other tools. You can, for example, create a segment of any length that you want. Draw circles. And measure angles. But now let's look at some 3D features. On the Drawing a Space menu, click on the three dots and select 3D Graphics. You now have two drawing panels, a 2D and a 3D one. All the things that we drew on the 2D panel are lying on the horizontal plane. There are times when you might want to see on the 3D view things that were on the 2D panel. But for now, I will reload the page to start with a blank page. Just as on the 2D view, you can hide the axis. You can see that some of the same tools remain, but others have changed. For example, you can trace a sphere now instead of a circle. One of the new tools allows you to create Polyhedra, the 3D equivalent of polygons. Let's try the cube tool. All you need to do is click on 2 points on the drawing area and a cube will appear. You can even resize it and rotate it around. The net tool will create a net for the selected polyhedron. Select the tool and then the polyhedron. You can also create a tetrahedron, again by clicking on 2 points. Notice that the margins of the drawing area do not allow you to click on them. This is why it might be useful to have the axis on. Or you could also just show the horizontal plane to mark the area where you can actually draw. Another type of polyhedra you can create are pyramids. Use the Extrude to Pyramid tool to create a straight pyramid. You will need to select a polygon for the base. That polygon can be one that you have previously created using the Polygon tool, or it can also be the face of another polyhedron. Select the tool, then the polygon. You'll be prompted to enter the desired height. You can move the top point up or down to change the height of the pyramid. Here's one other thing that will be useful when you're working with the 3D stuff. As we saw before, you can use the midpoint tool to find the center of a polygon. That tool is available also in 3D view. You can apply that to faces of a polyhedron. For example, I'm going to create a tetrahedron and then find the center of each one of its faces. You might need to move the polyhedron around to be able to clearly select each of the faces. Here, the bottom face or base is behind all of the others, so I need to move the view until I can clearly tell GeoGebra which face I want. When you have all the midpoints, you can join them together to create a new polyhedron. Unfortunately, there is no specific tool to do that. So what we will do is just create polygons with those vertices. These polygons will be the faces of the new polyhedron. Once you're done, you can hide the original tetrahedron to better see the new shape. In this case, notice that we actually created another tetrahedron. You can still resize the original tetrahedron, and the one we created with the midpoints will also increase. Last, you can also cut out parts of a polyhedron. Imagine you have a polyhedron made of clay, and you want to cut some parts of it by passing a sharp sheet of metal through it. In GeoGebra, we'll want to create a plane to play the role of the metal sheet. This tool right here creates a plane with several different methods. We'll use the parallel plane one, but we are welcome to experiment with the others. Choose this tool. Select a point on one of the edges of the polyhedron, and then a face which does not contain the point. So I wouldn't want to choose this face or this face because the point is actually part of them. I'll choose the bottom face. Again, clicking on the correct face might be tricky. So you want to make sure your shape is oriented in a way that will allow you to click on the desired plane without confusion. Now I want a plane like this on every corner. You can hide the other planes temporarily if they're getting in your way. You can also move the point along the edge if you want to make the corners look about the same size, or bigger or smaller. Now, in order to actually cut off the corners, get rid of them, you'll need to mark where the plane is cutting the tetrahedron. To do that, you can use the intersect tool under the second icon and click on each one of the intersection points. Last, we will join the points on each face to form a polygon. We can now hide the tetrahedron to better see our new polyhedron, with the corners cut off. Even at this stage, you can still change the size of the original polyhedron and move the different points that we selected to create the planes. This new shape is a little too transparent, which makes it harder to see. To change that, right-click on the object whose color you want to change and select Settings. Click on the Color tab and increase the opacity to make the object less transparent. You can also change the color. Same process works for changing the color of any element, both on the 2D and the 3D views. Now notice that these triangles in here are actually holes. You can fill them by creating the corresponding polygon and then changing its opacity.